Welcome to the center of the universe, otherwise known as Winnipeg Centre. The home of all things good. The home of the Winnipeg Strike. The home of OAS. And I want to tell you, it is my pleasure to be joined today in Winnipeg Centre, keeping our strong tradition going, of standing up for workers. Having workers back.
That's right.
Because we are the only party. We are the only party that puts families and workers first. And we are the only party that knows how to keep community at the center in Winnipeg Centre. So I welcome everybody to my community, a community that I love, a community that I've represented for almost 6 years, to say we are excited to continue to stand up for workers and families here in Winnipeg Centre. And it is my pleasure, it is my great pleasure to welcome to the podium one of the great Labour leaders here in Winnipeg, Melissa Dvorak.
Thank you, Leah. Hello, I'm Melissa Dvorak, and I'm the president of the Winnipeg Labour Council, and I'd like to do the land acknowledgement. We are gathered today on the treaty territories and ancestral lands of the Anishinaabe, Anishinaabeg, Dakota Oyate, Dene-Sulin, and Nehatuak nations. We acknowledge that Manitoba is located on the homeland of the Red River Métis. We acknowledge northern Manitoba includes lands that were and are the ancestral lands of the Inuit. We thank them for their stewardship of this land, past, present, and future. Thank you. So Trump's escalating trade war is threatening Canadian industries and workers. Just like the folks here today, New Democrats will always fight to protect them. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Jagmeet Singh to tell us more about how the NDP will stand up for workers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're so honored to have the president of the District Labour here and the powerful Labour movement that Manitoba and Winnipeg represents. It's such a great honor. Thank you so much to Leah Gazan, and being in Winnipeg Centre is giving me energy to be in this great riding. We wanted to do this press conference with these workers because we want to remind Canadians, we want to remind everybody in this election who we should be fighting for. Who should be the priority? It should always be the workers, not the CEOs. It should be these working people, not the billionaires. We are a workers' party, and we will always fight for the working people. Now, Canadians are again really worried after seeing more comments coming out of Donald Trump about the 51st state. And Canadians want to send a message back. We will never be the 51st state, not now, not ever, never. And with all this, again, fear coming back up, people are worried about what this means for their jobs. People are worried what this means for their families. The trade war has put a lot of pressure on people around the cost of living. But we're also worried about what the negotiations are going to look like. And we recently learned that Mark Carney wasn't being totally straight up with us when he told us what happened with his first phone call with Donald Trump. He said that Donald Trump respected our sovereignty. Now it's come out that he instead actually brought back up the 51st state and again threatened our country in that call. I'm worried, I think as a lot of Canadians are worried, that if Mark Carney's not being straight up with us, he's not going to be straight up with us in the negotiations. And workers are worried about what's going to be on the table. You know, workers and working people should be at the negotiating table, not on the table. And we're worried about what Mark Carney's willing to give up, what he's willing to concede. And so we've got a message today that you need to elect New Democrats. One, to make sure that this process is transparent. We're going to fight to make sure Canadians know what's at stake, what the impact is before a vote comes to Parliament. Secondly, and most importantly, we are going to make sure that we will never let certain values that we hold dear ever be on the negotiating table. We will never give up and allow Donald Trump to attack workers' rights. That will never be on the table. Labor rights will never be given up. We're never going to let Donald Trump attack our healthcare system, our universal public healthcare system. We want to keep it Canadian. We do not want it to become Americanized, and we're going to fight back and never let that be on the negotiating table. We're going to make sure we fight to protect treaty rights and Indigenous rights. That's something we're never going to concede on. Yes. We're never going to concede on environmental protections because we care about our land, water, and air, and we're not going to give up our protections on those fundamental things. We know that Donald Trump and American billionaires have looked at our market and thought, you know, there's ways to make money here. If we Americanize healthcare, if we make it harder for people to access their medication, they're trying to target our country and target making money for billionaires in our country. And the only ones you can trust to fight back and defend your interests are New Democrats. NDP. And so in this election, don't let Mark Carney have all the power. We know what Liberals do when they have all the power. They ignore working people. They give up on the folks that actually need to be supported. They are willing to sacrifice what you care about. We've seen it before. Mark Carney's proposing massive cuts, $28 billion in cuts confirmed in his electoral platform.
Shame.
And what's worse is, as recently as Monday, he said he's going to exceed those cuts. He's going to bring in massive cuts to our health care and to the services you need. So you need New Democrats to stand up and fight back. We're going to defend workers, defend Canadians. We know that Ottawa works best when one party doesn't have all the power. Ottawa works best when you send strong New Democrats like Leah Gazan and Leah Gazan to fight for you and defend you and your family. Donc, mes amis, on a des grandes inquiétudes. Dans cette élection, on a des menaces de Donald Trump. Elle a répété les menaces encore. On a un message à envoyer à Donald Trump. On ne va jamais être le 51e État. On va défendre notre pays. Et ce qui est inquiétant, c'est le fait que Mark Carney n'a pas partagé toute la vérité quand il a eu son première discussion avec M. Donald Trump. Dans cette discussion, il a dit que Donald Trump a respecté notre souveraineté, mais on a appris que ce n'est pas toute l'histoire. Donald Trump a répété les menaces qu'il veut faire que le Canada devienne le 51e État. Donc, si Mark Carney ne partage pas tous les détails, ça montre comment on a besoin des néo-démocrates pour rendre le processus de cette négociation plus transparent. Vous méritez d'avoir des transparences et les néo-démocrates vont garantir que le processus est transparent. On sait qui va être impacté et c'est quoi les impacts de ces négociations. Et, merci. Et deuxièmement, et plus important, on va garantir qu'il y a des valeurs qui sont chères à nous, qu'on va défendre dans cette négociation. On ne va jamais laisser aucune concession sur des mesures que je vais parler de quelques mesures. On ne va jamais avoir des concessions sur notre soin de santé public et universel. On ne va jamais avoir des concessions sur les droits des travailleurs et travailleuses. On ne va jamais avoir des concessions sur notre eau, notre ressource naturelle, les droits des communautés autochtones, les valeurs qui sont chères à nous. Je suis ici à Manitoba avec des travailleurs et travailleuses. Parce que je veux rappeler tout le monde, c'est pour ces travailleurs qu'on se bat. Et dans cette élection, ce sont les gens qui doivent être la priorité, pas les PDG, pas les milliardaires, mais les travailleurs et travailleuses. On se bat pour eux. Donc, finalement, ce qui est clair, c'est quand les libéraux ont tout le pouvoir, ils laissent tomber les gens, ils laissent tomber les travailleurs. Donc, on doit avoir des néo-démocrates forts pour défendre vos intérêts. Donc, vous avez le pouvoir d'encore envoyer des députés comme Leah Gazan et Leah Gazan pour défendre vos familles et vos intérêts. Vous avez besoin d'avoir des néo-démocrates à Ottawa pour défendre les droits des travailleurs, notre soin de santé publique. Et c'est exactement ce que les néo-démocrates vont faire. Merci. And with that, I'm ready for any questions you might have.
Thank you. We're ready for questions. We'll start with one question, one follow-up. On va prendre des questions. Une question, un suivi. Première question, Juliane Lapointe, Radio-Canada.
Bonjour, Monsieur Singh. Vous en avez parlé dans votre discours d'entrée, mais je vais vous entendre. Qu'est-ce que ça vous dit, ce qui est arrivé avec l'appel de Mark Carney et le fait qu'il ait été question de la souveraineté du Canada, même s'il ne l'a pas dit par la suite? Qu'est-ce que ça vous dit et qu'est-ce que ça doit dire aux Canadiens après qu'il ait répété que c'était lui la bonne personne pour faire face à Donald Trump?
Ça montre qu'il n'a pas partagé toute la vérité. Il n'a pas partagé toute l'histoire. Et ça, c'est un problème. Je pense que les gens sont inquiets. Ils ont des inquiétudes parce que dans ces négociations avec Donald Trump, ça peut avoir des impacts massifs dans la vie des gens. Ça peut avoir des impacts massifs sur les travailleurs et travailleuses. Donc, les gens méritent de savoir c'est quoi dans les négociations, c'est quoi en péril. Mais le fait que Mark Carney n'a pas partagé vraiment ce qui s'est passé, c'est mis en question est-ce qu'il va être transparent. Et ça montre pourquoi vous avez besoin des néo-démocrates. On a forcé le gouvernement de signer une entente pour les nouveaux ententes qu'on doit avoir plus de transparence. Ça veut dire les gens doivent savoir c'est quoi les enjeux et c'est quoi l'impact de ces négociations, c'est quoi les impacts des décisions avant d'avoir un vote dans le Parlement. Donc, pour avoir plus de transparence, vous avez besoin des néo-démocrates. Mais aussi pour défendre les valeurs importantes pour les Canadiens et Canadiennes. Les valeurs comme notre soin de santé, la protection des droits des travailleurs, la protection de notre environnement. Si vous votez pour l'NPD, on peut défendre ces valeurs. On peut dire non, on ne va jamais avoir des concessions sur ces valeurs importantes. Je pense que toute cette situation montre l'importance d'avoir plus de néo-démocrates à Ottawa. Yeah. I think what we've learned from this phone call with Donald Trump is that Mr. Carney was not being straight up with Canadians. He was not being straight up, and now Canadians have a lot of questions. If he's not going to tell us exactly what went down and say one thing and kind of the opposite happened, he said that Donald Trump respected our sovereignty, and instead now it's being reported that Donald Trump, in fact, repeated the threats of the 51st state. So Canadians are wondering, well, what else is going to happen? If he's not going to tell us about a phone call, what about the details of the negotiation? And what about what he's willing to trade away? So if you're worried about all that, as a lot of Canadians are, send New Democrats to Ottawa, and we will fight back and defend what you hold dear. We will fight back for you. NDP, 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 NDP. Merci, merci. Thank you. Yes.
Oui, en relance, François Legault ce matin a interpellé les chefs de parti pour des inquiétudes sur le nombre d'immigrants temporaires qui a explosé, qui ont dépassé la capacité d'accueil. Qu'est-ce que vous vous engageriez à faire dans ce cas-là?
En général, avec la question d'immigration, je pense depuis longtemps, le gouvernement fédéral n'a pas bien financé ou livré les ressources nécessaires pour l'accueil au Québec, particulièrement avec les gens qui traversent dans une manière irrégulière. Il y avait un manque de ressources pour les provinces. C'est la responsabilité du gouvernement fédéral de bien financer les ressources nécessaires pour accueillir les gens. Donc, c'était un problème dans le passé. C'est quelque chose qu'on doit régler. en général, avec notre chiffre d'immigrants, c'est clair qu'on a besoin d'immigration. On doit avoir un panel des experts pour nous donner c'est quoi le meilleur chiffre pour répondre à nos besoins de main-d'œuvre, mais en même temps qui va répondre à notre capacité de bien accueillir les gens.
Maggie Wilcox, Radio-Canada.
Monsieur Singh, à ce phase de la campagne, êtes-vous confiant que vous pouvez garder vos 3 circonscriptions actuelles au Manitoba?
Oui, absolument. On ne prend pour aucune chose pour acquis, mais vous avez des députés incroyables ici au Manitoba. Ils ont montré la force d'avoir des néo-démocrates. Avec 3 députés néo-démocrates ici au Manitoba, on a livré les soins dentaires, l'assurance médicaments, la gratuité des médicaments pour les diabétiques. C'est beaucoup plus que les autres conservateurs ont fait. Donc seulement 3 députés néo-démocrates ont livré plus qu'une dizaine de députés conservateurs. Ça montre la force des néo-démocrates. Donc en Manitoba, ici à Winnipeg, vous méritez d'avoir des néo-démocrates qui vont défendre vos intérêts.
Can you repeat that in English?
Sure. Absolutely. People saw the benefit of having 3 New Democrats here in Manitoba. 3 New Democrats delivered far more than all the Conservatives combined in this province. Just 3. And look at what these 3 New Democrats delivered for you. Free diabetes medication and devices. Manitoba is the first province to sign the deal. Your 3 New Democrat MPs delivered free diabetes medication and devices for so many people in this province. 3 New Democrats delivered dental care for thousands and thousands of Manitobans. This is what you get. These 3 New Democrats delivered far more than all the Conservative MPs in this province combined. I believe the people of Winnipeg, the people of Manitoba deserve New Democrats who are going to fight for them.
Vous vous trouvez dans 3 courses très différentes ici au Manitoba contre les conservateurs et les libéraux dans des circonscriptions urbaines et rurales. Comment est-ce que ces différences influencent vos stratégies de campagne?
En fait, la question qui est primordiale, c'est qui va se battre pour vous et pas pour les milliardaires, pas pour les ultra-riches. Et c'est la même question dans la communauté rurale, dans la communauté urbaine, qui va défendre vos intérêts. Et on a montré que c'est nous, les néo-démocrates, qui défendons les intérêts de monsieur, madame, tout le monde. On défend les intérêts des communautés autochtones. On se bat pour défendre vos droits et vos intérêts. Et avec les autres partis, ils ont déjà montré leur plan. Le plan des conservateurs, c'est de couper massivement. Et le plan de Mark Carney, malheureusement, c'est aussi de couper. Donc, on est le seul parti qui va dire on doit défendre notre système de santé, on doit investir davantage pour renforcer notre système de santé et on doit cibler les priorités des travailleurs et travailleuses. Ça, c'est notre offre aux Canadiens. Ça, c'est notre priorité.
David Thurton, CBC News.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Singh. In light of what we're hearing about Trump's 51st state comments to Mark Carney, the Liberal leader, and also his most recent comments about auto tariffs and whatnot, do you think this amounts to meddling in our election?
Well, it's certainly having a massive impact on our country, and it's a threat to our sovereignty. I'm worried about what it means to people. I mean, it's a massive threat to working class folks. It's a massive threat to everyday Canadians who are worried about, 1, losing their job, and 2, the cost of things getting more expensive. So in all of that, I think what it reminds us all is you need someone that's going to fight for you and your family. In Ottawa, we know when the Liberals have all the power, they ignore the struggles of everyday families. They forget about working people. They don't actually prioritize your needs. We know that. We've seen that again and again. And they cut. And they want to cut at a time when we need to be defending. We need to be supporting. We need to be lifting up and investing. The Liberals want to cut the things that you need. And so if you want to fight back against those cuts, the cuts of Conservatives, the cuts of Liberals, you want to defend the things that matter to us, our universal health care, you want to expand pharmacare, you want to make sure we make life more affordable, the New Democrats are the ones who will always defend the interests of the working class, of the middle class, of working people. Je pense que Les propos de Donald Trump menacent notre pays. Absolument, menacent nos travailleurs et travailleuses, menacent notre économie. Et ça, je pense, ça c'est le grand problème. Ça, c'est où je cible mes efforts pour répondre à cette menace en disant que vous méritez d'avoir quelqu'un qui va se battre pour défendre vos intérêts. Pas les intérêts des milliardaires, pas les intérêts des riches PDG, mais quelqu'un qui va défendre les intérêts des travailleurs et travailleuses, défendre les protections pour les travailleurs, défendre notre système de santé et renforcer notre système de santé. Face aux propositions de couper de Pierre Poilievre et les conservateurs, face au plan de couper de Mark Carney, on est le seul parti qui peut défendre notre système de santé et toutes les valeurs qui sont chères à vous et votre famille.
Mr. Singh, it's hard to see how your leadership is not on the line in this election. So what metric are you using to determine whether or not you stay or you leave?
What's on the line in this election are working people and everyday families. That's what's on the line. That's what I'm focused on. We got 4 days left of this campaign, and we got working people out here. We got middle-class families out here wondering, who's going to fight for me? Who's going to stand up for me? I'm never going to back down for fighting for those folks. We're the only party talking about putting in a ban on corporate landlords from buying up affordable homes. The only party talking about national rent control. The only party saying we got to put in a price cap on food essentials so people can afford their groceries. You know, for all those folks out there that are worried, they're saying, what about me? What about my concerns? I got your back. New Democrats, we got your back.
Yeah, we got yours.
Rachel Ayala, CTV News.
I would like to ask my question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
The
We're
Liberals,
just having a good time here, you know?
I see that. Happy for you. The Liberals' final ad of the election dropped this morning, and a source tells CTV News the aim is to show a more progressive side of Mark Carney in an effort to target NDP and Green swing voters. What do you make of that?
Well, I think that we're seeing more and more people that are worried about Mark Carney's cuts. And so they're trying to hide from that. And Mark Carney can't run from his record. His record is, at a time when people are worried about the housing crisis, he was a chair of a large corporation, a corporate landlord, that profited off the housing crisis. You know, we're in a time when people are looking at Mark Carney's plans, and his plan is to cut massively, $28 billion in cuts, and more that he promised on Monday, even more than that.
Shame.
So people are looking at his plans and saying, wait a second, hold up. That sounds like a bad idea, to cut at a time when we need to defend, to take away from our healthcare when we need to invest in our healthcare. And so people are looking at it and starting to be really worried. So I could see why Mark Carney wants to say, hey, no, actually, I'm actually a progressive. Well, the facts don't lie. And the facts are his plan was to spend $19 billion on a tax cut for mostly millionaires and to cut $28 billion from your services. That is not someone that is a progressive. That is not someone that's defending you and your family. And so Canadians are right to be worried about it. So if you're a New Democrat out there who's worried, thinking who's going to actually defend what I care about, we are. New Democrats are the only ones who are going to defend what you care about.
Carney went to BC right after you left, and he's coming to Winnipeg tonight. How worried are you that he's just playing cleanup and sweeping what seats you may have left?
Well, I want folks to know what's at stake in this election. And Mark Carney has been someone who's got a track record of making lots of money for billionaires. No question about it. But how did he do that? He did that by buying up affordable buildings and kicking out the tenants and jacking up the rent. He's someone that chaired a company which was the biggest tax dodger in Canada. And then as Prime Minister, he showed you his priorities. He spent $19 billion on a tax cut for mostly millionaires and proposed massive cuts to your services. This is not someone that's going to defend the things you care about. So if you care about healthcare and keeping it public and keeping it universal and defending against cuts, vote for New Democrats. If you believe If you believe in taking on corporate landlords and defending renters, vote for New Democrats. If you believe in taking on corporate grocery stores and making groceries more affordable, vote New Democrat. If you want someone that's going to fight for all the things that you hold dear, the only ones that are going to hold the line are New Democrats.
Marina von Stackelberg, CBC News.
Hi, Mr. Singh. Do you agree with Pierre Poilievre that it will be a boost to Canada's economy to get rid of the EV mandate and allow consumers to choose when they drive and what they drive?
What's that EV mandate again?
So it's the idea of getting rid of EV mandates so that there's a capability for people to drive whatever vehicle they want to drive. This is part of the Conservative policy.
People can drive whatever vehicle they want to drive. So I think that, I mean, not surprisingly, Pierre Poilievre is making up stuff. If he thinks that people can drive whatever car they want, they can. Incentives to support people purchasing an electric vehicle is the right thing to do. To give people the opportunity to purchase vehicles, particularly those made in Canada, as we're proposing. Made in Canada electric vehicles is a great way to support our Canadian industry, as well as supporting folks that want to make the choice to lower their emissions. I think that's a strong option for people, and having incentives to do that is a good idea.
I was referring to the EV mandate 2035 to try and get all electric vehicles, new vehicles. Did you understand? You got the question, eh?
Oh, right.
Okay.
I see.
Yeah, I wasn't clear, so I'll hope that's not my follow-up question. But just for clarity, it's the idea of that we would move completely to EV by 2035.
Well, I think a lot of manufacturing companies are moving in that direction anyways, and so we want to move in that direction where we're supporting having vehicles that are less emissions, are easier for people to afford. Ultimately, we want to make it easier and cheaper for people to get those vehicles, and ultimately having cars that pollute less, emit less is a good thing. So yeah, we think that's a good idea.
Question for a colleague of mine as well. A U.S. federal lawmaker told CBC News that the U.S. is no longer safe for asylum seekers. We just reported that a family of 4 with a 4-year-old daughter was held in a holding cell for 2 weeks after the CBSA turned away, even though they qualified to enter under one of the exceptions. My question for you is it time for Canada to rethink the Safe Third Country Agreement with the United States?
Absolutely. Absolutely it's time. No question about it. More than ever, what we're seeing is just deplorable treatment of human beings in the United States by Donald Trump. He has made it a game to attack the very dignity of people's lives. He's dividing people and making folks that are fleeing really peril, making them the scapegoat, and kind of riling up crowds to say those are somehow bad people just because they're fleeing horrible conditions in their countries. We need to show compassion. As a country, we have always been a country of compassion, of caring. We believe in looking out for our neighbors, and our neighbors don't just mean the people that live right beside our doors. The neighbors mean the people that live around the world, are in this planet with us. These are our neighbors as well, and we've got to look out for everybody.
Thank you, merci. That concludes our press conference.
Thanks so much, Missy. Thank you to these workers. So proud to stand here with you. You're amazing. Love you all. Thank you so much. You're so amazing. Wow.